Alright, lesson 5, torque wrenches. Identify the torque wrenches by the type of the U for the torque wrench, U for the work with requiring particular force for the torque. The heads of the device indicate the amount of the torque being twisted to apply with the nut of the bolt. And much today, with the machinery and engineering carefully work without with the degree of the tightness which nut of the bolt should be tightened with the board. Though not tight, if they not tightened enough, they may loosen. So whether they are tightened too much, the bolts, machine parts are straightened and excessively break. In either case, the result will severely damage of the machine. The torque wrench should allow the nuts and bolts to be tightened just the right amount. Torque can be defined with a twisting force of 1 pound on 1 foot wrench center of the bolt point on the pull that equals 1 foot-pound. At the time that the distance equals torque, the formula to determine the torque would be as the following: the foot FTT or 1 pound equals 1 foot equals 1 foot-pound or torque. When an extension adapter used with the length of the torque wrench, the effective length of the increasing the effective length of the wrench change the actual torque reading on the dial to calculate the actual torque of the formula. The following formula may be used: A, the torque reading on the dial; B, the length of the torque wrench without the adapter; C, the length of the adapter. 60. Using a fillet radius gauge, double-ended blade, measuring inside radius and then measuring outside radius. A times B plus C equals divided by B. A equals actual torque. The type of the torque wrenches of the dial indicate with the dial indicating torque wrench. Figure 63 indicate with the amount of the torque to apply with a given moment. Dial indicating wrench is especially suited with the job required with a different torque with values to measure that all the dials must not have reset each of the time measuring period of the preloaded with the dial indicating the torque wrench. Figure 63 show the dial indicating torque wrench. Dial deflection beam, the type of torque wrench. Figure 64 made with a flexible alloy steel with a flex for the torque wrench applied with a pointer attached for the end of the beam to indicate the torque reading on the scale. The type torque wrench has been invented for the slipping. Simple design, it does not multiply the device for the cam mechanism that can be ruined easily. Figure 64 is the deflecting beam torque wrench for the deflecting beam. Micrometer clip or click of the micrometer type of the torque wrench. Figure 65 has the bolt and micrometer at the end of the handle with specified with the torque and segment turning with the handle of the specified torque of the reach for the loud click is heard with this type of the torque will wrench permits for the very accurate tightening of the bolts of the micrometer setting of the micrometer torque wrench. Regardless of their type, most of the torque wrenches measure for the torque in foot-pounds. However, some of the torque wrenches mainly use the accurate reading for the smaller nuts than bolts measure for the torque in inch-pound. With a 12-inch pound with equal to 1 foot, convert the foot-pounds into the inch-pounds, multiply the foot-pound by 12 inches, convert the inch-pound to the foot-pound divided by the 12 inches, divided by 12. Example, the converting foot-pound to inches with the 75 foot-pounds times 12 is equal to 900 inch-pounds. Example, the converting the inch-pound to foot-pounds, 1,260 inch-pounds divided by 12 is equal to 105 foot-pounds. Torque wrenches are issued several sizes. They may be between half to 1/4 to half inch, 1/4, half inch, or 3/4 inch square drive. The received socket wrench of the capacity may range from 600 foot-pounds. Selecting a torque wrench for the specific job. Before selecting the torque wrench job with the torque specification, select for the U for the torque wrench, read for the mid-range to specify the torque. For example, the typical 1/2 inch drive micrometer torque wrench measured for the 30 to 100 foot-pounds. It would be the best torque wrench of the job, requiring about 100 foot-pounds or torque, especially with the 3-inch drive. The torque wrench reading of 15 to 100 pounds. 1-inch drive, quarter-inch drive. The torque region measured 30 to 300 inch-pounds. U for the torque wrench. To U for the torque wrench, step with the specification micrometer handle, the specification and scale of the dial, and dial or attach the proper socket to the torque wrench. Place the socket on the nut or bolt to be tightened. If the assembly containing the main nut is to be torqued, aiming with a good practice of using the following 3 steps of the procedure. First, torque all the bolts into about 3/4 of the specification reset. Recheck the specification and the torque of the wrench setting, and then apply the specified torque to each bolt. Finally, retorque all the bolts in specification to be sure that none were missed in the final torquing. Use small, steady pulling motions with a torque wrench. The faster you jerk with the motion will cause the fastener to be tightened than the incorrect torque will be. Such as follow the torque specification for each of the fastener and lock nut footnotes. Specification charts indicating where the threads are to be dry lubricated with the anti-seize compound where used to tighten the parts of the cylinder head. The intake manifolds also found recommended in bolt tightening pattern 56, figure 66. To show the MW24 cylinder head bolt torquing sequence: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Care for the torque wrench. For the torque wrench, position for the measurement inch for the accurately, then move the torque apply with the fastener. Do not move the torque wrench in general. The purpose of the turning tool with the U for the torque wrench for the observing the following the rules. Never use the micrometer torque wrench for the position below the minimum torque setting on the scale. However, when the stronger the micrometer torque wrench is, always adjust the handle to the lowest setting. Never use the torque wrench to tighten the fastener for the high torque with the maximum rating on the scale. Never use the torque wrench on the fastener with a high that has been tightened with a wrench for a socket. For an accurate torque rating, the final tightening must be done with the torque wrench. The torque wrench will have the recommended calibration interval of the torque wrench for the guaranteed accurate within 4% to ensure the wrench is always accurate that have been checked specified interval of the manufacturer. If I examine the turret and the torque wrenches, note that I have bearing in mouth of the pull of the wrench handle with the register on the wrench dial with the torque wrench should be pulled evenly and steadily, and it should not be jerked. 6. The thread should be cleaned with lubricated before the nut of the bolt and tightened to reduce the thread friction. Results in more accurate tightening. To take the special care of the torque wrench to avoid the damage with ruining the adjustment. Keep it clean with the oil, pull it away, and protect the place after each use. Your metric system versus the U.S. customary system. Say now how to convert the measurement of the U.S. customary system. The metric system is very important. The kilograms or kilopound with the newtons expressed within the force of the metric style. Use appropriate type of the torque wrench. The specification given the centimeters, kilograms. The torque of the wrench for the centimeter, kilogram space should be used. The torque value that should not be used to match with the value of the torque wrench following the formulas can be used to convert the values given. Note the measurement of the torque. Note that the new measurement of the torque whether used to any of the countries used by any countries used for the metric system. The newton meter was equal to 7.7375 foot pounds. To convert the newton meter to the foot pounds, multiply the total newton meter by 0.7375 equals 1,500 newton meters over for 1,110 6 pounds. To convert the foot pound to newtons, you divide the total foot pounds by 0.7375 equals 80 foot pounds or 10.85 newton meters. Lesson 6: Hydraulic filter and bleeders.